All right. Deep divers, welcome back. You guys have been sending in some really interesting stuff lately, and today we're going to unpack some of that together.
We're talking employee reviews, those windows into company culture, and maybe some skeletons in the closet.
Right. Who hasn't scrolled through those on Glassdoor before a job interview?
Exactly. And sometimes a negative review, it's just a disgruntled employee venting, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes you see patterns, red flags that make you wonder,
Definitely. And that's what we're here to do today.
you sent in two really negative reviews of AT&T, both from very different perspectives, and we're going to try to figure out what these reviews tell us about the company.
That was good. I'm ready.
So let's kick things off with our first review.
Yeah.
This one comes from all the way back in 2017 from a former business development director based in London. And let me tell you, they did not hold back.
Oh, boy.
Quote, trying to wallpaper your house through your letterbox. That's how they described working at AT&T.
Wow, that's quite the visual.
Right, like I can just imagine trying to squeeze a paint roller through a mail slot.
Yeah, talk about feeling stuck. And, that sense of frustration, it really comes through in the review.
Totally. This director goes on to say that AT&T has this distorted view of reality when it comes to winning new business.
They even use the term Groundhog Day, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, like the same problems just keep repeating themselves.
Exactly. And that can be a sign of a company that's really resistant to change.
And speaking of things that get old, this director mentions high turnover and a lack of innovation.
Which makes sense if people feel like they're stuck in a rut.
Yeah, and you know what else doesn't help? When your coworkers are 1 foot out the door.
Oh, you mean the whole legacy employee thing?
Yeah, this director was not shy about saying that longer tenured employees, those close to retirement, were basically just coasting until their pensions kicked in.
It's a bit blunt. But it does point to a potential generational divide within the company, right?
Totally. Like maybe AT&T back then wasn't really adapting to the expectations of younger generations in the workforce.
Right, because 2017, that was a time of massive technological advancement.
For sure. So if a company, especially a tech company, is slow to innovate, that's a big red flag.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's fast forward a few years to 2024, new year, new review. This time we're in Lodi, California.
Lodi, okay?
And instead of a seasoned director, we've got a potential intern who had a very different but equally negative experience.
Oh, interesting, okay.
So this review focuses on the hiring process, which, as we know, can reveal a lot about a company's culture.
Oh, for sure.
This intern was basically ghosted not once, but twice after trying to reschedule an interview.
Ouch, that's just unprofessional.
Right. It makes you wonder if AT&T even values potential employees' time.
Exactly. And think about it from the intern's perspective. You're all excited about this opportunity.
Totally. You've probably even researched the company like we're doing now.
And then they just leave you hanging. It's a
That-
bad first impression.
And this experience, it wasn't just an inconvenience for the intern, it actually changed their whole view of AT&T.
Really? How so?
Well, they mentioned canceling their AT&T cellular plans because of how they were treated during the interview process.
Wow. Talk about putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. Right. It just goes to show how quickly a negative encounter can impact a company's brand reputation and even their bottom line.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. So, okay, we've gone from London to Lodi, from a director to an intern.
Two very different experiences.
But both of them point to some potential cracks in AT&T's company culture.
Yeah, taken together, these reviews raise some interesting questions.
Right, like has AT&T actually addressed those concerns that were raised back in 2017?
About their business strategy, their internal culture, are things really different now?
And is there a disconnect between what AT&T says it values and what actually happens on the ground?
Because remember, actions speak louder than words.
Always. So deep divers, if you're considering a job at AT&T or any company for that matter, it's worth digging a little deeper.
Right. Don't just take their word for it. Do your research.
Read those reviews. Talk to people. Get the inside scoop, because you never know what you might uncover.
It's like being a detective. Sometimes you have to follow the clues wherever they lead.
And sometimes those clues lead to some pretty interesting discoveries. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but we'll be back next week with another intriguing look into the world around us.
See you then.
Until then, happy diving.